hard about this because prosperity without freedom is pointless, and freedom without prosperity is purposeless, right? And
Wonderful. Yeah.
and I think what happens is that there is always this quest for a dichotomy कि मुझे प्रोग्रेस चाहिए, मेरे को फ्रीडम चाहिए, बट प्रॉस्पेरिटी के कॉस्ट पे मैं करूँगा, ओके? And or they will say, I want prosperity, I want progress, but I will do it at the cost of the other thing, right? So there is always this trade-off mindset when it comes to prosperity and progress, okay? So when we look at startup India, not startup India as a policy, but I'm talking about startups in India, you have a young demographic, you have people more interested in taking risks, more interested in not working for traditional corporations, but rather learning the craft and going out and building large successful companies. But there are still deep-rooted problems in the sense of how the economic policies are actually structured for these companies. Because even if you build these companies, okay, the state comes and takes a large chunk of it once you're trying to sell it off, right?
Yep.
Which is why you have problems where people are actually starting companies in India, but people who are interested in funding them go and say that you get redomiciled to either Singapore or in Delaware, okay?
Yep.
And
Yep.
all the profits are drained out of India. So there is a brain drain, there is an economic drain. Even people who want to stay in India, India is losing out because it's not progressing aggressively enough in these sort of sectors. Because of which I think there is a continuation in people who are saying like, yeah, I'm staying back in the country. I'm building for the country. I'm building inside the country. Okay. But the state still looks at business, still looks at profit in a very, very dirty lens. And they are, for all their aggression, for all their bravado, etc., this is the one area where the people want change. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is it not coming, in your opinion?
Because, well, lots of different things. But first, by definition, bureaucracy has been, and if you take a look at how slow reforms have been in terms of both design and implementation, 1991 was a start, but we are nowhere near the finish when it comes to reforms. Bhagwati and Panagri have an excellent book called Tryst with Destiny, in which the main section, in fact, is a section which speaks about so-called track to reforms, which still have to be completed. Bureaucrats have been reluctant to give up on the power that they have over the structure of the economy. Best exemplified by, say, for example, our reluctance to reform labor laws. Speak to any industrialist today, and they will tell you about how difficult it is to hire a large number of workers, and worse, be able to fire some of them if conditions so demand. So whether it is an Industrial Disputes Act, whether it is a Factories Act, and I can go on and on about the number of acts that we have to so-called protect labor in our country, they end up making it worse for labor in the long run, simply because people are reluctant to start large-scale firms. So the answer to the question, what is it that holds us back? It is a reluctance of the bureaucrats to cede control. And I go back to our culture and the idea that we have a Mai Baap Sarkar. So bureaucrats aren't willing to supply freedom. And I would argue Indians aren't willing to demand enough freedom from the government. So to analyze the market for changing culture, both from a supply and demand perspective, we are hampered.